I think it's gonna be busy. Yeah, it seems like it.
Nice though. Is this your first Comic-Con?
Very first one. Yeah, it's quite a to do. A lot of people.
Yeah. All right on, man.
Why would anybody live in Castle?
Good question. Good question. Well, I really don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think that people probably just find themselves there, right? It's one of those places that people end up in, and you know, get a bit stuck. I think. Yeah, in our story, you know, the people who live there are really wonderful people. It's just that, you know, the town itself, a lot of not so good things have happened.
What are you most excited for fans of Stephen King to see?
Well, I think what'll be fun for people who are fans is that they'll get to see a lot of the sort of Stephen King multiverse, and yet the story itself is new and original. So I think it'll be really exciting for people who are already fans. I'm a fan. I mean, I grew up a fan of Stephen King's work, so reading the scripts is like, oh man, that's like kind of referencing that thing, or that's kind of referencing that character. You know what I mean? But still very, very new. So I think people are gonna dig it.
So to continue to build into your characters, is there anything you're finding you're surprised about yourself as an actor?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the work that we're doing, that I'm doing, is has to do with identity. And so I think that, you know, like this part, like any other part, the deeper you dig, the more you reveal about yourself. You know what I mean? So what's wonderful is that this character is so well drawn, and there's so many different ways that I can go with it. That at every turn I'm finding something new. So we're about halfway through, but I still feel like I'm constantly discovering new things. So it's really great. And again, that just points to the incredible writing that Dustin and Sam have done.
How would you introduce this character? Because we don't know too much about this one.
Yeah.
Can you give us the broad strokes?
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit. I mean, you know, I want y'all to be surprised in 2018. But, you know, I play a death row attorney who has roots in Castle Rock and is called back to Castle Rock to deal with a rather complicated case. So yeah, that's the broad strokes.
And the EPs have told us that Shawshank is going to be
featured.
So are you heavily in that location? Where's it shot? What's standing?
We're shooting all over the place. I mean, there's a lot of different locations. There definitely is. Shawshank is a part of it. I'll say that, and I am a death row attorney. I'll say that. What you decide to put together is up to you. You know what I mean? But it's there are a lot of things I think people will key on and go, oh yeah, I recognize that. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun.
Were you a Stephen King fan prior to, or how much have you read into some of the material?
Yeah. I grew up watching a lot of the movies. Pet Sematary, It, of course. You know, Pet Sematary.
Pet Sematary.
Yeah, that one scared me.
That was my jam. I don't know why.
I watched it so many times, and every time I watch it, I'm still like, oh.
I like the second one almost more. Yeah. But I'm weird like that.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So I grew up with you know, familiar with his work, with his body of work. I wouldn't say that I was a rabid fan, but what I love about it is the way the characters are drawn. You know, to me, they feel like stories that are character first and plot second. So, and that's really what attracted me to it.
Death row is such a fascinating subject. Have you delved into research in that area, and what sort of surprised you about the research?
Yeah, I did quite a bit actually. I became friends with some people who work for Equal Justice Initiative. I don't know if you're familiar with, you probably know him. It's got Brian Stevenson, who's an incredible death row attorney, and runs an organization out of Alabama that tries to get people off of death row, among many other things. And so I spent a lot of time talking with death row attorneys, and one of the most moving, you know, parts of the research, I would say, was sitting with a guy who was recently, as in about a year ago, released from death row after 35 years. He was wrongfully convicted, and like hearing his story, and it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. So I feel a real responsibility to make sure that part of the character that I'm playing is done in the right way. So a lot of my research focused on that.
So without giving too much away, is there anything that you're excited for us to see coming up?
I mean, I think, there's I know I can't talk about much, but I think, here's the thing, we got a really great cast. The work Sissy Spacek is doing is incredible. Bill, obviously, is, a wonderful actor, and he's doing some great things. So I think what you've got is, like, some really interesting characters set in a really interesting place. And as I said, the writing that Sam and Dustin are doing is extraordinary. And I read a lot of stuff. This is some of the best I've ever read. So I think, those things put together is a lot to be excited about. Yeah.
How much are you told when you start a show like this in particular, how much are you told about where the show's going, where your character's going, and how much is it revealed just as you open the scripts? What's the process?
Well, I was told quite a lot about where they planned on having it go. Things change as you go along and you discover. One of the most exciting parts about it is that they said they were really interested in writing the character for me, on me, right? So they've allowed me to collaborate with them quite a lot and sort of shape the way the story goes. So that's been really cool. Usually, it depends on the format. There's sometimes you get all the 10 scripts up front and you kind of know where it's going. And other times you just kind of every week discovering it. This is somewhere in between. They know where they want to go, but they're also open to collaborating.
And if the character's slightly based on you, which of your characteristics are coming to the fore?
Well, it's still, we're still going, so it's still yet to be determined. But I think that, the death row element of it, I think that part of the research really touched me. The kind of person who does a job like that, what that brings out in an individual. I was really interested in laying some of that stuff in there so that, we understand that this is a guy who's like, very organized, very passionate, very, never say die, never give up, fight to the end, and that permeates all of his life, not just his work life. So, that's what I'm keen to do, is to like infuse the relationships with that same sensibility.
How does a character like a lawyer, fact-based and knowledge-based, how does he operate in a realm which seems to have this horror, which is not all just bad man? Sometimes there's killer trucks. How does your character face the horrors and rationalize the reality of them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's part of the journey of the story, right? A man who, as you say, understands the world in a certain way, and then yet things start to happen that don't fit into his understanding of the world or his understanding of himself. So that to me is what is really interesting about the character. And as I read the scripts and as I understand them, psychological thriller is how I would describe it, more so than, there is obviously a horror element to it, right? But it's really about the characters. It's really, a psychological story. So, yeah.
What is something that you nerd out about?
Wow, that's a good question. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge nerd. There's a little nerd in me, but I'm learning. I'm learning to like nerd out more and more. A good friend of mine is on that show, The Walking Dead. She and I I've been to these kinds of things with her before, and so every now and then I see this like, oh man, that's the dude from such and such, or that's the character from from so and so. I didn't really grow up in this world, but I definitely am learning to have more of an appreciation for it. Yeah.
You said that you described it as a psychological thriller. Are there many supernatural elements to the show?
Good question. One that I'm probably not allowed to answer. But you phrased it so well. You almost said something. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's gonna be fun to watch. I'll say that. I will tell you that.
What is your favorite Stephen King book? Did you say?
I don't know if I have a favorite, but Pet Sematary that film really messed me up, as did It. I had nightmares for years after watching It. I was clowns, man. Can't do it. So I'd probably say those two.
And obviously you're working with Bill from the new It.
I know.
Have you seen the new It?
I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if I can, to be honest.
Really?
I want to because I want to support him and I've heard it's so great, but clowns, I'm telling you, that movie messed me up. So I don't know if I can.
I think you should do it.
You think so?
Yeah.
Are you gonna come tuck me in at night when I'm terrified?
I mean, I will, but I'm expensive. So I don't know if you can afford me, but I can help. But nah, you should see him because you could then tease him a little bit. Too.
Yeah, true. Y'all liked it? Y'all saw it?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I go check it out. I'll eventually check it out in the daytime. Are you see? Yeah, see, I'm not the only one. Maybe we go to a matinee.
Yeah, go like or 11 in the morning or something while it's still bright out. You could.
Yeah.
I got faith that you can do it.
Cool.
Is there anyone from the cast that you're working with now that you're surprised to work with that you were, you know what I mean? That you're
Looking forward to?
Yeah.
I mean, all of them really. Melanie Linsky, you know, I've seen her work for many years in the independent film world, and we have a lot of friends in common, so I was excited to get to work with her. Sissy Spacek obviously is a legend, so working with her. She's wonderful. She's I mean, she's I don't know how else, she's incredible. She's really kind. She brings like a wonderful energy to set, and she's a great actress. You know, they're very generous. So we have a really special group. You know, and I'm not just saying that because like that's a cool thing to say, but it's actually a really special, really cool group. Yeah.
So how scared will audiences be from this? You sound like you're a bit of a wuss when it comes to watching.
I'm a wuss. Yeah. I think there's gonna be some moments that people might get a little, you know. We definitely, the horror is a part of it, so people will be scared at places, but again, like it's really psychological, you know what I'm saying? That's what drew me to the part, is that
Yeah, there's a little humor that the creator said a little bit too to help kind of balance it a little bit, and that's why the new It had a bit of levity and humor in it, which kind of helped balance like the scares, then you get a little bit of humor.
A little bit.
So does the show have a little bit of humor from your perspective at least?
I think it's got a little bit of everything. You know, I think they do a wonderful job of you know, telling a great story, a compelling story, but also making sure that, you know, it's not too much one thing or the other. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's what's great about it. There'll be multiple entry points. So the deep, heavy genre people will love it. I think also audiences who are new to Stephen King's multiverse will also find a way into it. You know, people like me who are kind of somewhere in between also can find an access point. So, yeah, I think it'll be cool. Yeah, I think so. I think also it's a really good time to be on Hulu. They had a great year last year. Yeah, and they've been really wonderful to us, giving us the freedom to kind of make the show that we want to make. And, very supportive, and I think more, as you say, more and more people streaming the platform. So I think we're in the right place. Yeah. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thanks, you too.